Hi, I'm Sayna Ebrahimi from UC Berkeley, and this is our joint work with Facebook AI Research Lab. Continual learning is usually described as learning a sequence of tasks without forgetting them, and is often defined as a list of some objectives, all of which are difficult to be met in a single algorithm. Each continual learning solution focuses on optimizing as many objectives on this list as possible. Approaches in continual learning are three types. In the first category, named as regularization-based methods, the goal is to prevent parameters important to prior tasks from changing in favor of learning new ones. These methods are limited by their fixed total learning capacity. It is also difficult to set the degree of regularization upon learning each task, given that the number of remaining tasks is supposedly unknown in real-world scenarios. Second category is the memory-based methods in which all data is used to prevent forgetting in the form of experience replay, stored gradients, or a generative model that fakes the data for us later. Despite the success gained by these methods, we need to keep in mind that storing old data might not be possible in practice, not necessarily because of the memory overhead, but due to the confidentiality problems associated with some applications such as medical information. In the third and the last category, in the structure-based methods, the network modules are expanded to accommodate new tasks. These approaches can easily grow and outscale if the expansion is done obliviously. Hybrid approaches are also live in between these schemes, which usually try to benefit from more than one world, trying to overcome the limitation of each category more successfully. Our approach is also a hybrid continual learning algorithm, which has both memory and structure growth components. The intuition behind our method is straightforward. We think the consecutive tasks in a sequence must have in common some task invariant or shared knowledge, while there must be some task-specific or unique features required to master them. The question we try to answer in this work is that how can we factorize these task invariant features from task-specific ones? We now introduce our approach called adversarial continual learning as follows. At the arrival of each task, we wish to decouple the representation into a shared and private latent space generated by modules of similar names, respectively. The shared module maps data into a latent space on which we train a discriminator adversarially, such that the discriminator tries to classify the generated features by their task labels, while the shared module tries to fool the discriminator by minimizing the discriminator's output probability of assigning correcting task labels to generated features. The minimax game goes on until the discriminator is no longer able to predict the correct task label, suggesting that the latent space has successfully become task invariant. The private module, however, attempts to accommodate the task invariant features by learning merely the features that are unique to the task in hand. We further factorize shared and private latent spaces by using an orthogonality constraint, which assures shared and private modules remain orthogonal to each other throughout the training process. The orthogonality loss is also referred to as difference loss in the literature. This procedure is repeated each time a new task arrives, when it is accommodated by adding a new compact private module for it. To fully prevent catastrophic forgetting in private features, we store them into the memory. If factorization is successfully performed, the shared module remains highly immune to forgetting. However, we empirically found that when disentanglement cannot be fully accomplished, either because of the little overlap or large domain shift between the tasks, using a tiny replay buffer containing few samples for old data can be beneficial to retain high accuracy values as well as mitigating forgetting. We have extensively verified our method on a variety of benchmarks and datasets, including learning single datasets in split joints or sequentially learning 5 datasets of different kinds. For the evaluation, we measure the average accuracy obtained by testing the final model on all tasks, as well as backward transfer that indicates how much learning new tasks has influenced the performance on previous ones. Here are the results on learning MinilmageNet in 20 tasks. In this bar chart, we show the average accuracy for ACL and all our baselines from all the continual learning categories. We observe that ACL achieves the highest overall accuracy. And for backward transfer, it obtains 0 forgetting. Among other baselines, We also see zero forgetting for progressive neural networks, or PNNs, which is a zero forgetting guaranteed method by definition. However, it achieves a lower accuracy compared to ACL, and more importantly, when it comes to memory usage comparison, it reveals that ACL achieves the highest performance using the least amount of memory overhead after fine-tuning, which is known as a very naive baseline, often achieving the largest forgetting amounts. Now we show the results on learning a sequence of 5 datasets with total number of 50 classes and nearly 200,000 training samples and 50,000 test images. We showed performance of ACL against UCB, which is a regularization-based method for Bayesian neural networks, and has been shown to perform well in multiple dataset learning scenarios. Note that for ACL, we only use architecture growth without any experience replay, resulting in performing better than UCB in both accuracy and backward transfer. And by comparing their memory usage, we see that ACL achieves this high performance by only using half of the memory used by UCB, because Bayesian neural networks use double number of parameters compared to regular neural nets. For some more results on other datasets, such as C400 and MNIST variants, please see our paper. We have also performed an extensive ablation study for our method, but here we only discuss the role of three most important components of ACL: the discriminator, replay buffer, and difference loss. The last row of this table shows the highest performance of ACL on MinilmageNet when all of these components are present. We first ablated the discriminator, and we see an immediate significant drop in accuracy, showing the importance of adversarial training in our model. Second is the replay buffer. The memory used in here was storing 1 image per class, resulting in 5 images per task and 100 images in total for the entire dataset. We ablated this memory, and we observed performance degrade in both accuracy and forgetting. And last, we ablated the difference loss in ACL, which caused a small accuracy downgrade compared to the highest performance possible with ACL. We concluded that the majority of the factorization or disentanglement happening in ACL is due to the adversarial training rather than the orthogonality constraint. Last, we show a visualization of the latent spaces in ACL to assess the quality of factorization. In the first row, we used the model trained on the entire sequence of 20 split MinilmageNet and evaluated it on the test set belonging to task number 20 for 500 samples, which are color-coded with their class labels. In the second row, once again, we used our final model trained on the entire sequence of 20 split MinilmageNet and tested it on the first 10 tasks of the sequence, one at a time, and plotted them all in a single figure where samples are color-coded with their task labels. We do this latent space visualization for both shared and private modules with and without the discriminator. The shared module trained with adversarial loss consistently generates a uniformly mixed distribution both for task number 20 and the first 10 tasks. In contrast, the generated features without the discriminator appeared as a non-uniformly distributed mixture with some small clusters for class labels or tasks. And for the private modules, they appear to be more clustered when discriminator is present, both for task number 20 as well as the first 10 tasks, where we see 10 separate clusters when discriminator is present, as opposed to seeing 9 entangled set of clusters without the discriminator. All right, we introduced ACL as a novel algorithm that primarily uses architecture growth, but can also benefit from experience replay if need be. It uses adversarial learning and an orthogonality constraint to disentangle task-specific and task-invariant features. We achieved near zero forgetting and state-of-the-art accuracy results on image classification benchmarks. Our code is publicly available, and please reach out to me for any questions. Thank you.